Welcome to episode 57 of Nickel Valley Talk, the program brought to you by Nickel Valley Tourist Association, Experience Merit, and Experience Nickel Valley. Our award-winning program is just part of an overall marketing strategy for the Nicola Valley. We have decided that on the last Thursday every month, Nicola Valley Talk will change its name and be called Off the Clock City Talk, where we bring issues facing the city of Merritt and the Nicola Valley to your attention. Basically, the program is one for providing information, and we are not here to debate issues. We are here to provide facts. The people that are speaking are not representing City Council per se, but they have the inside track on this information because of their position as councillors. And therefore, the facts that they give you are information that they have been given and are not at this point being debated. So tonight's special guests are Tony Luck and Melvina White. They are counselors, and actually they have been here on our last two programs. So here they are. Big cheers. Yay, yay, yay. Our counselors are here. So Melvina, welcome. I think people probably know you pretty well now, but could we just have a quick run through of what makes Melvina White tick?
Well, I don't know if we want to get into that, but I'm a city councillor. I'm also vice president of Tourism Nicola Valley, and I don't know, somewhat of a lead in Experience Nicola Valley, and and I've been in Merritt a long time and love it here, and that's about the size of it.
Well, Tony, can you bring us up to date too?
Oh, okay. Tony Luck, city councillor, local realtor, husband, father, all those standard things. What makes me tick? Living in Merritt has been a nice transition for myself. I just want to make a big thank you out to everybody that helped with the fires and everything here, and the evacuation and the alert and everything was going on. It was some trying times for everybody. I know we were camping last weekend, and we got a call at 8 o'clock at night, and we're in Revelstoke, and by 1 o'clock we were home in the morning to kind of take care of things. And it was a pretty stressful time for everybody, but kudos to everybody that's pulled through and worked really hard to get things back on track here. And let's hope with all this rain and everything, we're past that. But just enjoying, been enjoying the summer up until that point, I guess, but just having a good time out there, Tom.
Well, that's great, you guys. So our topic tonight is housing. And of course, with the rapid growth of Merritt, housing is a key issue. And so we are going to be asking our counselors here various questions on the topic. And I hope that this information will be useful for you and give you a clear understanding of where we're going with housing. So it's, a major crisis, not only in Merritt, but in the country. The prices is definitely a problem, as the rate of price increase in housing is extreme. In just 2 years, the prices increased approximately 30%. Also with COVID, we've got a problem in that people were not working, unable to pay their rent, and so the ranks of the homeless has become a little heavier. Those in the middle class who were comfortable but lost their employment or they're now going through their savings like crazy, and housing is becoming a very serious issue for them. So it's also with a vast increase in prices, it has become difficult for first-time homeowners to get into the market. Even in Merritt, which just 24 months ago, you could buy a house here, a really nice house, for just a little over $300,000. You're now looking at almost double that. So, you know, it is definitely difficult issue facing all levels of government. And so what we're going to do is discuss that kind of problem. And so my first question, I guess, is that, you know, there's several components and descriptions regarding our housing needs. The biggest one seems to be the term of and lack of affordable housing, and a hot topic within the community. Melvina, could you share with us exactly what the definition of affordable housing is?
Well, in Canada, housing is considered affordable if it costs less than 30% of a household's before tax income. Affordable housing is a much broader term and includes housing provided by the private, public, and not-for-profit sectors, as well as all forms of housing tenure, example, rental, ownership, and cooperative ownership. In other words, the term affordable housing can refer to any part of the housing continuum, from temporary emergency shelters through transition housing, supportive housing, subsidized housing, market rental housing, or market home ownership. So there's quite a list to basically affordable housing, and even though they have different names, they're more or less all classed as affordable housing.
Thank you. And Tony, can you tell us some of the challenges that individuals and families face related to the lack of affordable housing as a homeowner?
You bet. Thanks, Tom. One of the things that I was at a meeting yesterday, and we were talking about affordable housing. It was for the local government groups here, and they had replaced the word affordable with attainable. And I really like that. And I commented how I like that new language, attainable housing, because as Melvis pointed out, there's, and I think she talks about a little later in the program as well, is there's all types of housing for everybody. And we talk about attainable housing because, you know, the poor have a hard time getting housing. First-time home buyers are having housing. But, you know, a part of that, attaining the proper housing and homes, is also for the seniors. So I really like that term attainable because all groups are trying to attain the type of housing they want, Tom. So as I go through, I'm going to try to think of that new language and use that because it affects everybody. But for the most part, when housing production falls short where people live and work and play, the quality of life for all residents in our community is diminished. The lack of quality, attainable housing can exacerbate social issues such as homelessness, poor education attainment, and mental and physical health conditions. If you're worried, you know, if you go to work and all your money's coming and just being spent on your housing, and when we talk about housing, when Melva was talking about that 30%, that includes utilities in that as well, right? When you go to the bank and you want to get a mortgage, they do debt servicing ratios, right? And then you have to include your utilities in there. So not just the cost of the housing, but also because once you buy that house or rent that building, you've got to be able to pay the utilities and everything, right? So a lack of attainable housing has impeded will impede a community's ability to grow through the attraction and retention of newcomers. Because we all age out, and we don't want to see our communities to die. So we do make a concerted effort to try to attract more people in here. A lot of communities, especially in the southern interior and through where we live, you're attracting seniors, right? And seniors want to come and live in warmer climates and drier climates if they've lived on the coast all year. So how do we attract those people? So we have to have that attainable housing for them, right? And it doesn't help us grow our community if we don't have that type of housing that they require. Municipalities may consider educating landlords on cultural issues to minimize the potential of discriminating in housing as well, and using those things to try to bring people here. High housing costs can impact the economic success of a community. Residents with high housing costs will have less discretionary money to spend on goods and services within the community. So even though we might have lots of housing, if people are spending more than 30%, or I think upwards in British Columbia, if I'm not mistaken, in a lot of areas, we're paying between 40 and 50% of our disposal of our pre-tax income to housing. So that's a big chunk of the money coming out that isn't available for things like snowmobiles or ATVs or sports programs and things like that. And that helps drive our economy as well, or going to the restaurants or any of those kind of things. So less disposable income, less money is circulating through the economy and helping us all. That means less money being spent on local businesses and less opportunity for business growth as well. So when we see employers that want to come to town, one of the first criteria that they have when they're looking to relocate factories, does a community have adequate housing for its employees? Especially if you're going to get a new place like maybe Barkman's or somebody coming in to manufacture something, and they need 100 employees, they're going to see if they've got those people within the community. If they don't, if they have to bring 50 in or they want to relocate here, they want to make sure they have adequate and attainable housing for those employees in the community. So that doesn't help us at all. And of course, I know some people may not like to grow our community, but those things are important because they help add to the tax base and the taxes that we need to sustain our livability in our community, pay for the services that we have and everything, right? If housing is too expensive, it can be difficult for business to recruit average income households to a community. Right, and so a manufacturer won't be able to find the people that they need to fill those needs in the community in their new shop. So that's some of the things that some of the detriments if we don't have attainable housing in our community, Tom.
Thank you, Tony. Melvini, can you tell us the difference between affordable rental housing and low-income housing?
Well, affordable and attainable, I guess, like Tony's talking about there, is housing that is appropriate for the needs of very low to moderate income households and priced so that these households are also able to meet other basic living costs such as food, clothing, transportation, medical care, and education. Affordable housing rent, in this case, you pay according to your income, which by the standards would be 30% of your before tax income. Some of the statistics are saying 30% of before tax, and some of the statistics are saying 30% after tax. But I believe the mortgage CHMC, I believe they use 30% before tax. In this context, affordable housing refers to housing that's being developed with some assistance from the provincial and federal governments, including through planning incentives. It may include a range of housing types and sizes, including single to multi-bedroom units or houses, as well as studio apartments. Affordable rental housing may be owned by private developers, investors, local governments, charitable organizations, or community housing providers. It is usually managed by nonprofit community housing providers, as an example in Merritt, Ask Wellness, and sometimes by private organizations. Low-income housing is a threshold calculated by Statistics Canada that identifies Canadians whose income is between 50% to 80% of medium adjusted income. Very low income is making less than 50% of median income. Statistics Canada emphasizes that the low income measure is not a measure of poverty, but that it identifies those who are worse off than the average. About 17% of Merritt residents fall below the after-tax threshold. For context, 17% represents about 1,200 individual people in Merritt, or about 665 households. Approximately 340 children belong to a low-income family. there is a number of programs, government programs and nonprofit programs available to assist low-income residents with affordable accommodation, or at least help them get some decent accommodation. But that doesn't solve the problem when we have a lack of rental units available. So yeah, even though there are different names, there's really not a difference between low income and affordable housing.
Okay, thanks, Malvina. Tony, can you explain to our audience some of the types of subsidized housing that helps make housing affordable and available to us in Merritt?
Thanks, Tom. There's a number of programs, and I think the ones we're probably most familiar with would be from the BC Housing at the provincial level. So that's one of the ones that are funded by the provincial government. They do supportive housing. They help with building buildings and doing some financing, and then try to bring the cost of housing down for subsidizing facilities for individuals. We also have some of the services in Merritt itself. We try to do some helping and bringing affordable as we look at when we look at our zoning bylaws and everything. If people want to add some additional floors to a building or something like that, we talk to them about adding affordable or attainable housing in those buildings, and what we call bonusing. If they were to do certain things, we'll let them give them more things so they can give us some affordable, if they're prepared to do some attainable housing for the community, right? So they do those. There's other programs like Ask Wellness in our community that provides housing. And I think that's very evident right now for seniors. They're building a new 44-unit apartment building over on Quachena there, and adding to their current building on that one. That is to be for seniors and that. So there's another program. We also have private sector that likes to get involved and help in providing housing, affordable housing as well. One of the ones that for Merritt specific, we've got Ann Hart that is making an application. Ann Hart Society company make an application to build a building here, and they have a very interesting program because they go they try to work with the people that are selling the land, try to get a bit of the break there, and then the suppliers, they go in and try to make deals with the suppliers to help bring the cost of the building down. Because one of the big issues with trying to get attainable housing is just plain cost of building is very expensive today. You look at where lumber went, it doubled, tripled, quadrupled a number of months ago. So now, how many of you heard, the cost of a 2x4 is $10. I mean, and that just gets translated into construction. And so how do we bring those costs down? So I think Ann Hart program is a really good one if they can, work with the suppliers of labor and material to try to bring those down. You also have the John Howard Society out there that's trying to provide housing for people and being part of the solution as well, and providing homes, and I think it's really important when we talk about that is being able to provide for seniors in our community. Is really, really important too, right? And I think part of it as well is having a variety of housing in a community, and I think that's part of what city councils do as well, is try to have a variety of houses. If you have all the same type, like single family residence, and people age out of their homes, they got nowhere to go. We lose that valuable history with those people that live, and they want to stay in their community. So the city tries to do what they can with the zoning and that to be able to provide housing for those as well. So there's a number of and I guess I probably mentioned CMHC too. They do some funding and help out as well in that area as well, and some federal programs as well. And those are just to name a few, Tom. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Tony. The Thompson-Nicola Regional District Housing Needs Study issued in February states the city of Merritt is not meeting the housing needs of the community. Malvina, could you provide us with some examples of what we as a community can do to assist in building a community with needs of all of our citizens?
Well, I think the most significant affordable housing challenges center on the cost of development. There's little profit associated with those costs right now, and the challenge of funding or financing projects, the cost of development and lack of land for affordable housing are two of the more prominent challenges in recent years. As a city and a community, we could help developers better understand the market and opportunities for workforce for affordable housing. A couple of things that the municipality could do is zoning and density bonus policy, which I believe Tony talked about, that we have done some of that. And both of these tools add to affordable housing through new development, and exclusionary zoning means zoning regulations that require an applicant to contribute to below market cost housing units directly through building or through funding, triggered as a part of rezoning for a development. Density bonus policy is an incentive that allows increased development potential as long as affordable housing is included. The number of affordable units created is often based as a percentage of market units. If, for an example, 10 to 20% of the build space created, or in some cases, the amount of new employment driven by the development. Intensification through rezoning. Rezoning properties for density or flexible housing uses is one of the fastest ways to access land and financing for new housing. I believe that we have rezoned a number of properties for higher density and flexible uses. Secondary suites, attached or detached, zoning for rental buildings, smaller lots, lot subdivisions, stratification or residential atop commercial, all increase the supply of housing, often on a fixed footprint of land. I know people, they don't want to see the high density, but I think it's going to be a given in not only in Merritt, but in every community because of the lack of housing. And one of our guests is saying, what is in place for the overflow of people while they wait for housing to be built? Well, we don't have one because we just do not have the rental units available. Unless somebody's moving to town and buying a house and somebody else is moving out, basically is what it boils down to. We can reduce costs by streamlining approvals and other incentives. Short-term nightly rental regulations would help for permanent rentals. Covenant tools. In an affordable housing situation, covenants may be used in a housing agreement to restrict who can live on a property and how much the property can be sold or rented for, thereby keeping a home perpetually affordable for future owners. The covenant can also include a listing of fines and other tools to ensure compliance, and long-term affordable housing development agreement covenants are used to ensure the benefit of affordable housing is provided as part of a rezoning process. Then there's partnerships and land and financing. Access to low-cost land for affordable housing, whether private or larger parcels of brownfield or underutilized land, is critical. This approach considers land that is acquired by a municipality or a nonprofit organization at a low cost to hold for the benefit of affordable housing. Property for affordable housing is typically acquired through donations or grants of land from sources such as the provincial government or the federal government. Beyond land donations, the servicing of land can be an impediment to affordable housing, so land donations with servicing or land that can be accessed easily for servicing are especially valuable. In addition to municipally held land developed by the municipality or other partners, Land trusts are one arrangement of land ownership that is underpinned by an organization with a built-in desire to create permanently affordable housing. Land trusts often maintain ownership of the land while making it available for housing through land lease or housing rental agreements to ensure long-term control of the land. Though effective, community land trusts are not as popular yet in Canada as in other international jurisdictions. So this is an example of some ways a city could become involved in securing options for affordable housing. There are several other examples, but they are detailed, and to name them all would take way too long. You can read a report called A Scan of Leading Practices in Affordable Housing, put out by BC Housing in 2017. And housing is a federal and provincial responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the municipal government, in this case, the City of Merritt. And I want to make it very clear that this information that we're providing is information from BC Housing, and the TNRD and Merritt Housing Report. And I'm speaking to this issue not as a city councillor or on behalf of the City of Merritt.
Thank you, Malvina. That was very informative. Tony, I think you've touched on this particular question in one of your earlier presentations, but could you please tell us some of the benefits of healthy, affordable housing for everyone?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on that. Thank you, Tom, a little bit earlier there, but we can reiterate again, because I think that's an important piece of any community is having healthy, have good attainable housing in a community, so everybody has a good place to live and feels comfortable within their community, and be able to benefit of all the services and everything provided in the community. We talk about housing being one of the big shortcomings right now, and you mentioned your opening remarks. Maybe it's even in a crisis. That isn't just a Merritt crisis. That's a BC crisis, and I believe it pretty much across Canada as well. As we're stressed and strained, and so one of the things I'm thinking is, the benefits of a healthy community. We have a lot of people immigrating into our country right now, and what we want to do is make sure that those people come in and settle in. For example, have those people come in and settle into our communities and good strong housing. They feel connected to the community. They become part of that community, and they feel like they belong in our community as we integrate them into the Canadian fabric of society, right? So I think that's really, really important to make sure those people feel comfortable in there. Part of it is also, I think I mentioned earlier, is making sure our seniors have somewhere to go. A lot of the seniors, and I've talked to a few in our community, that they're ready to give up their big house now, and they want to have that attainable house as a place that they can move in, where they can downsize their maintenance and all those kind of things, and they don't want to be maintaining, and they don't want to leave our community. I think a healthy community includes all age types in our community, young people, middle-aged, seniors, and all that. It would be kind of a shame that we're all seniors, we're all young people in the community. I think us all working together, and I think that makes a much more healthy community for all to live in. So we want to make sure we have all those housing varieties for the different people in there that feel comfortable living here as well. Healthy homes promote good physical and mental health. If we're not having to worry about the home we live in and constantly renovating and doing all those kind of things to it, then we feel a lot more connected in our community. We can go out and do more things. If we can get down to that 30% that we should be spending on housing, we have more disposable income. That makes for a healthy community. We don't always talk about health as mental and physical, but we talk about the economy as well. We've got good jobs. We've got opportunities to provide jobs for people in our community. We have those things in our community that people want. One of the things I heard many times is we want good restaurants in here, but if we can't do that unless we have the good housing to bring people here and live here. And I know that's probably a bit of a chagrin for some people. They just leave it the way it is, but one of the important part of having all these good services, we do have to have a good sized population as well. And we want that population housed in good housing and the variety of housing that we can provide here in the community, right? And let me just see what other, the social cost of not meeting housing needs is also high and includes paying for resulting cumulative cost of healthcare services and institutional care of people. And you look at people that, the homelessness, for example, that's huge. If we can't find adequate housing for those people living on the street, they don't feel connected in the community. They cause some issues here. We got to get the police involved and things like that. And that's not very good. So we want to make sure that we have adequate housing for those people so they can, like I say, feel part of the community, and and we feel good about where they are as well, rather than having to deal with some other things. So.
So that's it.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
Do you want me to go on more?
Well,
But I'd be off topic, Tom.
yeah, we could be here for a while because it is all-encompassing topic. So,
Yeah.
Melvina, could you please give us a short summary of the impact of housing affordability on the community?
High housing prices can slow down a local economy, leaving jobs unfulfilled and less spending power in a community. But when affordable housing is readily available, more opportunities become available for people at all income levels. More money is available for spending in a community, and long-term change can begin to take root. Let's look at some of the economic benefits of affordable housing. More money spent in the community. The most obvious economic benefit of affordable housing is the increase in discretionary spending. When residents of affordable housing communities can make their rent payments, they're able to spend more on local purchases and go beyond the bare necessities to buy healthy food, have better access to healthcare, and spend more at their nearby businesses. Healthier population means a healthier economy. When people have access to quality, affordable housing options, they are far more likely to have enough income for healthy food and routine medical care, ultimately helping them lower the risk of severe chronic health problems. The more people can spend on adequate health care and fresh food, the better and healthier the local economy becomes. More affordable housing creates more job opportunities. Another huge economic impact of affordable housing is the number of jobs it can create, both during the construction phases and ultimately through long-term societal growth. The healthier an economy is, the more jobs it will need. Though some of these jobs are more immediate than others, the long-term benefits of affordable housing are profound and can lead to meaningful changes in society. When we have a vibrant, healthy community, we will attract new business to the community that will offer decent paying jobs, because they know that the employees that they need for their business will have a place to live and everything. Then they're healthy and doing well, and so it just will attract new business to the community for sure. So yeah, thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Melvina and Tony. At this point, in the past shows, I've come up with a little summary of what we've discussed. Those other two shows, it was a more focused topic than housing because housing is so broad. So I might not capture everything you said, but I will try and give it a little bit of a summary. First of all, housing is a responsibility of the provincial government and the federal government and not the municipal government. However, the municipal government has a number of tools in their tool bag that can help reduce the cost of affordable housing. And they can use these tools in partnership with the private sector, not-for-profits, and government. And those are such things as bonus zoning, zoning density, DCC waivers, and things such as that. The benefits of having a strong, varied, affordable housing is quite clear in that you have the outcome of a healthier society, with people having more money to spend on food, healthy food, being able to have funds for entertainment, and all these good things that help their mental capacity, their good feelings about the community. The housing needs are extremely important. And so I think the two of you have covered the benefits and the not so bright side of a down market housing situation. So all in all, housing is extremely important. The city does have some tools, but really, when it comes down to it, the provincial government and the federal government have to come to the plate and help get the housing situation under control. So that sort of covered everything you said, or close to it?
That's pretty reasonable,
Pretty
Tom.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay,
I just might add and reiterate a bit what
Yeah.
you said, if I may.
yes,
but-
go ahead.
I think one of the challenges, as you said, housing is a very, very complex issue, especially in Canada, British Columbia, understanding the different levels and roles of government and all that. And we're challenged, and there's a number of impediments that we're dealing with in Canada for attainable housing and affordable housing, if that's the term you like to use. But if I may, I'd like to give my stat that I've used before, and one of the challenges we have, especially in British Columbia here, and I'd like to throw that out just so people understand, because at the bottom line, housing affordability is a supply and demand issue. And as you know, the more supply, the lower your cost, and the demand is, then you lower your cost is, right? And so if we can do that, the higher the supply. One of the challenges we have in British Columbia is that 65 years ago, or 66 years ago, when I was born in 1955, less than 5% of British Columbia was available for private ownership, meaning you, Tom, and Melva and I owning our homes and competing with all that industry out there. And the other part of that challenge was that there was 1 million people, just over 1 million people living in the province then. So let's move the clock ahead to today. Less than 5% of the land in British Columbia is still available for private ownership. And we've got more than 5 million people living in the province now. So there's more people fighting over what's available. And then we've got all the immigrants that are coming, and all that population isn't slowing or stopping. We're going to be looking. So we do have some challenges. And then, of course, the other one is the cost factor as well. The cost of everything is going up and it's getting so expensive. So as we look at this and see for housing, we've got some real big challenges ahead of us, Tom, and I hope we can find solutions for those.
The other part to that is our lack of land in Merritt for building. We don't have a whole lot of it without the government giving us some.
Yeah.
I'm quite certain the city doesn't have very much land at all under its control.
No.
25 square kilometers. I think something like
Okay.
40% of it isn't used because it's slope or floodplain.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's your last words, because I'm supposed to ask you for your last thoughts of the night before we say goodnight. And so, Melvina, do you have anything you want to add over and above what you just said?
No, just that, I mean, we have a housing issue, and there's no doubt about it. And it's not a situation that I don't think is going to be resolved overnight. But
yeah, Tony, anything else?
No, I agree with Melva. These aren't going to be easy solutions to find for housing. There's a lot of things that are going on there. We just got to find out better solutions here. And I know it's been a bit of a struggle for people to understand that, and maybe as they see some densification going on in our cities and things like that in our city. But we really need to find solutions to housing. We talk about it all the time, and I've often said, if you see a politician talking, moving his lips and talking about affordable housing or attainable housing, you got to be kind of careful, because we love to talk about it. Everybody likes to talk about it, but the real solutions are it's going to be tough to come by. Absolutely. And so let's hope we can all work together on this.
Looks like a real partnership between the three levels of government are required to solve this.
Yeah, and and Tom and local citizens as well. I think that's a big part of it as well for local citizens as part of that partnership as well, because they're the ones that are having to see a change in their community, Tom. So I think it's really important that the municipality, provincial, federal government, and the citizens of any, not just ours. I mean, Kamloops is running out of developable land. Kelowna is running out of developable land. All these cities are. So there's some challenges, Tom, for sure. Yeah, but you know what? I'm guess we're very creative. We'll find solutions. I'm sure of it.
Great.
One thing that I think that the citizens should do is look up some of this information on these reports, and they would understand a little bit more when there is a piece of property that's zoned for high density, why it's being zoned for high density. And I think that would put a lot of people's minds at ease if they understood what was going on with the housing issue and the lack of land in Merritt to create housing for these people. And it's not just homeless people that are, I mean, we do have homeless people that don't have homes, but we've got other people that have jobs that can't find homes, and they're living with a friend or their family or until they can find something. In fact, there was one guy that I talked to, he lived here for like 5 months before he was able to find something, and he had a job.
Okay, well, thank you both for participating in tonight's show. We'll hope to see you folks in a month. I think the next one is September 25th. So you may not be the guest that night, but if you are, it will be good to see you. And so thanks again for your participation tonight. And I hope we enlightened the community a little bit on housing in the Nicola Valley and particularly Merritt.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks very much, Experience Nicola Valley, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, so that was our program for tonight. And I want to thank Melvina and Tony for their participation. They're city councilors, but again, their perspective was only to present facts. They were not representing City Hall or City Council, and were not expressing their opinions, but were giving facts that they had obtained. So I hope our viewers found that informative. And I do want to thank the viewers. Tonight seemed to be a really busy night on the comments on the side, but unfortunately, my eyes can't read them too much without getting closer, so I'm going to have to look at them a little later. But thank you for your participation and your comments. The program seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum, and we're very happy about that. And so we want to thank again Nicola Valley Tourism Association for sponsoring this program, as it's part of, as I said earlier, the Experience Nicola Valley program, a award-winning program run by the Nicola Valley Tourism Association and developed by A Canada Marketing, by the Brothers of Tourism, who are the most enthusiastic Canadians I've ever met. And it shows in the programs that they've developed. So I hope you guys will be able to join us again on September 2nd for the regular Nicola Valley Talk Show. And you'll see you again on the 25th of September for another version of Off the Clock City Talk. Thank you and good night.